Welcome to TSU Human Performance Sports Science Podcast, where we dive into the fascinating world of sports science and innovation, right here at Tennessee State University.
We are your hosts,
I'm Neil Monet
and Franka Sindicic, and today we are taking you on an exciting journey to educate, entertain, and keep you up to date of happenings right here on our campus.
In each episode of TSU HPSS, we'll bring you exclusive interviews with our expert faculty, coaches, student athletes, and our students from our departments who are making stride in this field.
You will gain the insights into the latest training techniques, nutrition strategies, and sports psychology breakthroughs that are now shaping the future of sports performance.
All while bringing it to you from an HBCU perspective.
Welcome back, everybody, to our HPSS TSU podcast. Today with us is Ms. Johari Matthews, a very special guest from NFL Titans. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No problem. We are very excited about the podcast, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Johari Matthews. I work with the Tennessee Titans. I serve as our Vice President and Executive Director of One Community and the Tennessee Titans Foundation. I'm a native of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm also an alum of Tennessee State University, so really excited to be, back on campus, and always love supporting my alma mater and the students who are making it so great. I've been with the Tennessee Titans for 3 seasons now, which is, we count it by seasons, but basically 2.5 years. And my role with the Tennessee Titans really focuses on a couple of things. The main thing is the community impact side of how we are showing up for the community and creating opportunities for our players, the staff, the organization as a whole to have influence and impact on the community using our platform. And so using the power of sports to really enhance and service community. I focus on everything from our foundation, which is fundraising for the foundation and governance, to also partnerships with nonprofits, universities and colleges, and thinking about how we can create programming that services marginalized and under-resourced communities. We are building a new stadium, which is really exciting, but it's been really busy. But with that, there's also the component of how do we engage what I like to call everyone from the cradle to the grave, so the young and the old and everything in between, to create jobs, to create opportunities to be a part of the stadium, whether it's through arts and music, and also with career development and pathways. So even just spreading awareness and introducing young people and everything in between to the concept of building a new stadium and what that looks like. So my role is very diverse. However, my background is in nonprofit, and so it merges my passion and skill sets for wanting to be a part of the community and really being an advocate and voice for how we show up for our community.
So before we keep talking about your position, I want to go back from the beginning. I want to know, and we want to know, how did you become the vice president?
I want to know that too. No, I'm just kidding. For me, so again, I don't have a traditional pathway into sports like my colleagues and a lot of my peers who work in the sports industry. My background, like I mentioned before, is in nonprofit, and once I graduated from Tennessee State, my bachelor's is in psychology, and so I really thought that I was going to be this renowned counselor and mental health expert, which I love understanding the brain and why people do what they do. But while I was in college, I worked for the YMCA of Middle Tennessee, and that really introduced me to nonprofit and what that really looks like on a more a larger scale, but also more of an impactful scale. And started off working in youth development. So worked a lot of before and after care programs with our youth from elementary to middle school and high school. And then midway through my career with the YMCA, we have facilities, so wellness facilities around the city. And that introduced me to the operations side of nonprofits. So what it's like to run a facility, what it's like to lead a staff team, what it's like to manage a budget, an operating budget. Also what it's like to deal with people, members, because you deal with a lot, the good and the bad. You have members who come in extremely happy and loving, and then you have members who are like, I couldn't find a parking space, and my workout class starts in 5 minutes, and now I'm late. So, you dealt with everything in between, and that introduced me to a lot. It also introduced me to corporate social responsibility. So I became the executive director of the Northwest Family YMCA, which is less than 3 miles from the campus of TSU, but it sits in a community in North Nashville and Bordeaux, which is a community that has been severely underserved. It's a predominantly black community. A few years ago, there was a statistic that came out that it had the highest incarceration rate in the country. Little old North Nashville. It also has one of the lowest literacy rates for our students, our children who attend schools in that area. So there was a lot of need, everything from housing to education, health and wellness, which you all work in this space where health and wellness is the start of where a lot of needs come from, everything from, and especially the lack is seen with impoverished communities. So that particular YMCA where I was, it sits in a unique community, and it had a lot of needs and things that it in ways that it could better serve the community, but it lacked a lot of resources and predominantly in funding. And so we leaned on a lot of our corporate partners. So you think about Amazon, HCA, the Tennessee Titans were one of our big corporate partners. And so that introduced me to, I never knew that companies had this space, this arm of where they thought about social responsibility and how they support nonprofits in the communities. And so I also started to find that most of the people who worked in that space didn't have any experience with working in community or any experience with working with nonprofits. And a good example of that is, so they would say, hey, we want to give the Northwest Family YMCA $10,000 to buy 300 bikes for all of the kids who come to the Northwest YMCA. On the front hand, you're like, oh, that's great. Like, the kids are going to love this. This is going to be amazing. But then my nonprofit brain starts working, and I'm like, wait, thank you for the $10,000. However, that probably would be better spent if I could use it for new life jackets for our pool so the kids in our summer camp program could learn how to swim. But the corporation would say, no, we want you to buy bikes. Like, we really want you to buy bikes. And so then when you start digging into that deeper, you're like, well, if I buy all of these bikes for these kids, they may not have anywhere to store them. My kids may not even know how to ride bikes. Like, if the bikes come in a box, it's a single parent who may not know how to put this bike together. Right. She may not even have a car to get this bike home. Yeah. Did y'all provide locks for the bikes? Like, they live in a neighborhood where a bike can be stolen. Like, all of these things, and they're like, no, we want you to buy these bikes. So
how do you deal with that then?
So that's what introduced me into, that really sparked for me something where I was like, you know what, I have to, like, I love working in nonprofit, but I have to get on the other side because I have to be that voice of reason to say, hey guys, let's not do that. Or, hey, have we even talked to the nonprofit? Yeah, like have we talked to them to see like if this is something that they even want? And so that's what's really started to really give me the courage to not only push back, but to think about how I could get into this space. So fast forward, 2020, the Tennessee Titans, we have a new CEO who comes in, Burke Nihill, which you all met, you heard from him. And if you've ever spoken to Burke, if you've ever heard him speak, he's very passionate and genuine and authentic about how his vision of how he wants the Tennessee Titans to show up in the community. And just in all fronts, everything from the business side to football operations to community. And when he became CEO, I had a friend who reached out to me and said, hey, I need you to, like, Burke really wants to meet with you because he's trying to learn more about the Tennessee Titans' perception in the community, what they're doing well, what they're not, what are the challenges. And from there, I shared a lot with him. I think I vomited. I was just giving him all the things. And at the end of it, he was like, listen, I really need someone like you within our organization that can help to give us that perspective and help us think through that. And that's how I started with the Tennessee Titans. Now, when I went into it, I underestimated the value and the influence that my department, like the space that I work in, that we have on the entire organization because I work so much with other departments on all fronts for all things. But I also underestimated the power of a professional sports team on a city and an impact that it can have if you use the platform the right way. So, unlike I've always loved sports. I played sports growing up when I was in middle school and high school and just an avid sports fan. So it's a great way to merge both of those passions for me. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey to get to this point.
Because I was gonna ask you. You go from YMCA to a professional league, so that's like such a big step.
It was,
and like it seems from the outside, from my perspective, it looks like a professional league that can do everything and have so much impact on the community. So how did you like deal with this change of this big step?
Yeah, and that was probably the hardest change, the transition for me, because I'm from Nashville. Like I said, my husband's from Nashville. We have deep ties in Nashville. My husband is also an elected official, so we're involved on the political, like local government side as well as community side. And so it was hard because once you step into a position and into an organization like this, everyone is like, oh yeah, we know Johari, great. Like now we can ask and we can get all the things. And in the beginning, I was like, yes, I want to serve the community. I want to do it. But then you quickly realize that the impact you're having is surface level. And if you really think about your areas of focus of where you want to have the most impact, you really have to narrow that down, whether it's to one specific thing or if you're like, hey, we have 3 areas that we want to focus on. And that really helps for you not only to have a deeper impact, but really to kind of create those boundaries for yourself, but also for the organization. And so for the Tennessee Titans, that's where we launched One Community, which is our forward-facing community impact, our community approach to how we want to serve the community. And the one stands for 3 areas, which is opportunity, neighborhoods, and education. Under the opportunity umbrella, that really focuses on supporting minority-owned small businesses within and giving and creating economic advantages, as well as thinking about how we are supporting and creating opportunities to work alongside the new stadium, the construction of the new stadium. So workforce development, supporting minority and minority-owned small businesses. And then under the neighborhood umbrella, it's really thinking about housing. So housing is a big issue here in Nashville. And we knew that we couldn't go out and build hundreds of homes because we're a football team. That's not our thing. However, we do know that we can use our platform to establish. So we established a $5 million fund to be able to create and give loans to minority developers who are looking to build more obtainable and affordable housing, to eliminate those barriers with securing funding to be able to get these developments and projects off the ground. The other part of that is supporting, so the Metro Office of Trustee has a program for our seniors to make sure that they get to stay in their home, because a lot of, when it comes to gentrification and affordable housing, our seniors are getting pushed out because they can't afford to live there anymore. And so they have a program where they're able to create tax relief, property tax relief, and so we help to amplify that message. Under the education umbrella, it's creating career pathways and introductions to different career explorations, everything from the sports industry as well as understanding internships, creating. A couple weeks ago, we took 35 students from TSU to a career fair, HBCU career fair in New Orleans. And so creating opportunities for those students to go. The Maymester course that you all participated in to introduce you to leaders within the industry. And then working with our Metro Nashville Public Schools in the same capacity of creating career pathways, but also taking it a step further and creating, we donated or made a contribution of $5 million to help restore all of the athletic fields for our high schools across the city. And a big part of that was our athletic fields in our high schools are used by everyone from band to football to cheerleading to soccer, you name it, they all use it. But if they don't have a good quality field to play on, then it doesn't make any sense. And we did that. The first round went to Pearl Cone High School, Whites Creek, and East Magnet High School. And Pearl Cone, with their new field, they won the state championship this past season. So we're like, oh, see, it works. We're doing great things. So in those three areas, thinking that's where we kind of put all of our focus. And if when we screen, request, and ask, if it doesn't fit under that umbrella, then we have to say no. It's hard to say no. But we also understand, like, hey, we want to make our dollars make the most sense, our impact make the most sense, and we want to create generational change, one person, one family, one community at a time.
Well, I really do love that story. And the thing I love is that you're actually putting a thought into it. Mm-hmm. And you're actually looking what is needed and what is Nashville needing and people in Nashville, which is really great, and especially the housing, because Nashville is expanding so fast.
Oh my gosh, it's insane.
Yeah, I can imagine, since you're a native here, so you probably
I've seen it grow, and I'm like, where did that come from? What? So,
exactly. But I also think that is important to have somebody on top like you who is a native here, because you truly do care about it and you really do want to improve it. So I think that is great. And I didn't hear about the one community until we came to Maymester course. Yeah. But since then, I keep following it. And while I was at the Titans game, I saw how much things are you doing actually for the community. I was like, wow, they're really putting the effort in this. So, and we were actually experiencing the education part. We were part of Maymester, and we cannot thank you enough for it. It was so exciting.
I'm so glad that you all had the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. So my question is, like, can you, since we were the first generation of it, let's say it like that, so can you please say how did that all started?
Yeah. The Maymester course was really an idea that was really birthed out of the One Community initiative and thinking about, so I'll backtrack a little bit. So TSU has been a longstanding community partner. TSU really was the first community partner for the Tennessee Titans in the history or the longevity of the Tennessee Titans. We celebrated 25 years this past season.
Oh, really?
And so when the Tennessee Titans came to Nashville, TSU was one of the first community partners. There's a lot of, I'm trying to think of the politically correct way to say this. There were a lot of things in regards to that partnership that were done really well. However, there were a lot of things that were not done so well, and a lot of things that fell to the wayside, challenges, things like that. And again, when Burke became the CEO in 2020, his number one mission was to correct all of those wrongs, but also to reestablish that partnership and to find ways to strengthen it. And so with One Community, TSU has always been, when we thought about One Community and when we were talking through the strategy behind it, TSU has always been the example or the thing that we're like, you know what, this is going to benefit TSU, or yes, we should do that because this is something that TSU could benefit from. And so the Maymester course, we started talking about with Dr. Glover, you know, what are some things, what is it? Like, what are some, where are some areas? And one of the things she talked about was the career exploration and finding, you know, opportunities for the students to get more involved with internships and all those things. Well, you can only have a limited number of internships. And unfortunately, you know, for me, my biggest thing with an internship is that not all students take advantage of internships or even know that they're available. I was one of those students. I didn't have an internship when I was in school because no one said, hey, do this. Yeah. So the Maymester course was something that we were like, how can we get a large number of students with an intentional approach to learn, to spend a full day or week just learning about the sports industry, who really have, especially students who have a desire to go into the sports world and to figure out all of the different career opportunities that exist within the sports industry. And we started talking, you know, about all these different ideas of we should do this and we should do that. And then finally, you know, someone at the table was like, a Maymester course. Like, that's where you can really jam-pack the week and come in with all these things. And so the really exciting thing about it is that when we took it back to our leadership team, like our C-suite folks, everyone was excited, and we had so many leaders within our organization who were like, we want to do it, we want to be a part, we want to do it, to the point where you guys met Tina Tuggle, to the point me and Tina were like, everybody can't speak, like like, we thank you, but everyone can't be on the agenda. But it really was birthed out of this idea of how can we create these opportunities to introduce students to the sports industry, make it impactful, but also give students an opportunity to hear from the leaders and the individuals within our organization who make this engine run and who aren't, you know, on the front page. Like, you don't, I think about like our person who does the maintenance for the fields and stuff. Like, he's not getting all of the, like, you don't see him on game day. Yeah. You don't see him. He's not getting the shine. He's not standing there next to Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. He's not getting all of that. But what he does is critical to how the players perform, to what game day looks like, how the players prepare for the game. And so we wanted students to hear from leaders like him. And we sat long and hard and just came up with a whole curriculum for that. we have been so fortunate to have been introduced to Dr. Smith, who he pours his heart and soul into you all. Shout out to Dr. Smith. He pours his heart and soul, and he thankfully does not back down from an idea. Like, we come to him with so much, and he's like, we can make that work. And he's also straight up and forward with us, and he says, no, like, actually, this would be a better fit if we did this. And Maymaster course is one of those where he was like, actually, we should do it in a different capacity, or we should switch that up. We should make it more where it's intentional and get students who really want to benefit from it. So it's been a process. I think for us, it was the first iteration of it. Y'all were the guinea pigs of the first cohort. But you guys, you all were incredible, and I feel like the questions that you all asked, the opportunities that even the feedback that you all gave us to say, actually, we would love if we had more experience or an opportunity to see this, that will leave its impact for generations to come, especially for the next cohorts that go through it. But it also open this door for the other professional sports teams within the city to say, oh yeah, we want to create something like that too. We want, the Preds wanted to do it, the Sounds, soccer clubs. So that, for me, take Tennessee Titans out of it. For me, that is the win. I'm like, yes, these students get to continue to learn, because I tell, especially when I talk to young people all the time, I tell them, don't just limit yourself to one sport, one professional sport. If you're really trying to work in this industry, there's so many. So learn and explore what they all have to offer.
If I'm not mistaken, we were like kind of the first one in the nation that have a kind of a seminar with a professional league, right?
Yes.
That's kind of
so
crazy.
It's really, it's crazy. So you think about the local impact that it's had, but then you think about globally, it's like, man, this is really cool that across the league, this is the first program, but it's also, on a larger scale, it's also the first partnership that an NFL team has ever had with a HBCU across the nation. And we are proud to be a leader in that sense, but also very proud to be able to share and encourage our counterparts, the other 31 NFL teams, to say, hey, you too should create something like this, and it's catching on. It's working. It's really exciting. Like I said, we took 35 students to this HBCU, All-State HBCU Legacy Career Fair in New Orleans, and there were 6 or 7 other NFL teams who were there who had booths set up at the career fair. And when they saw us come in with these students, they were like, wait, y'all brought students? And we're like, yeah, that's what it's about. Like, and so they were like, oh, yeah, they're like, wow, like, we should have thought about that. Yeah. So I've had conversations with other NFL teams on, like, how did y'all make this happen? What did you do? How do we, now we're ready for next year when we can bring some students from our local HBCUs. So that's what it's about.
So we're setting some new trends here.
Yes, always a trendsetter over here at Big Blue, so I love it.
Yeah, and the thing I love is you're also encouraging the students, because they do have somebody as that big organization next to them and trying to support them and try to find them jobs and open the new doors for them. So that's great. And also the internships that we had some students that actually got an internship with the NFL. So it's just looking at all of these things, it's like, okay, so you can make it happen. You just have to work for it.
Yeah, so you just have to work for it. And I think the really incredible thing, to your point, is we have been able to, forge this relationship with the students. So like now I know the students, I know what they're doing. You guys blow me up on LinkedIn, which I love it, but I'm also able to keep up with what the students are doing to be able, which to me, the good part about that is if I hear about a student who, whether it's a Tennessee Titans program or if it's a program within the sports space for students, I'm able to pass that along to another student that may be coming up behind you to say, hey, there was a student before you who went through this program. This may be really good for you to do as well. So it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Is it happening in May again?
Yes, it is happening in May. So right now we are planning all of that out and getting ready. I think we had to get through this. The career fair, y'all, took a lot. we love our students and it was so much fun, but woo, y'all wore me out. But so everyone should start receiving like information about the Maymester course in mid-April. And then we're also launching again our internships, which will open beginning of April as well. And then thirdly, in the beginning of next semester, of the fall semester, we'll have our scholarships that we'll give out as well, and that will open in August. So there's a lot coming down the pipeline. If you don't already follow either the Tennessee Titans or myself, Johari Matthews, on LinkedIn, but also if you're not on Teamworks, which is the online, it's a job site platform that specifically posts all the jobs around the industry for sports, professional sports related jobs. So internships, jobs, seasonal positions, it's all on Teamworks online. And so that's where you can follow Tennessee Titans specifically so that you know exactly when those internships open up.
Okay, so whoever is listening
Yes.
this, they did learn a lot and how to prepare for everything in the future. We just wanted to thank you one more time for coming. This was a great podcast. We enjoyed learning about one community and about upcoming things that are coming in April, August, and we're excited to continue this collaboration with the NFL Titans.
Now, thank you guys so much for having me, and anytime I can share or support, I am happy to do it. Thank y'all.
Thank you.